What's going on, Rewind fans? It's your host, your boy, George Mackay, and
Uncle Bobby B, baby.
we're back. It's a Rewind. If you're here, you're watching us every Thursday right after MLW airs. We give our thoughts, our opinions, what we liked, what we didn't like, what needs improvement, what doesn't, just our suggestions. We're just two guys that love the product, and we always want to see great things. And you know what? It's always exciting because usually after there's a week that we're not overly excited about, we always know there's good things coming. And as MLW has always done since we've started this podcast, they bounce back. If they have a rough week, they bounce back. Production, matches, everything was on point this week, but we're going to get into it. But before we do, we're going to obviously talk about what the big topic of discussion is this week is the MLW lawsuit against WWE, violating tons of antitrust laws and everything like that. Long story short, they kiboshed the Vice TV deal.
So
there's obviously more to it, and the statement is out there online. You can read it. We're not going to go in depth in this statement. We're just going to give our quick thoughts and opinions. But if this is what happened, it's a sad day in wrestling because there should be a piece of the pie for everyone and everyone to share equally. And if that's the case, whatever the lawsuit brings, I hope it brings more eyes to the fact that the monopoly in wrestling may be over. And I think it's long overdue, in my honest opinion. Back in the day, there were territories. Everybody got along. Everybody had their piece of the pie. Everything was good. They used to share talent. Jerry the King went over to places. He had Memphis Wrestling. He went over. He represented. So, and that's just one example. The Von Erichs, they had their territory. They represented Stampede
Mid-South.
Mid-South. And they all had their representation and they all had their slice of the pie. And obviously, when Vince McMahon brought the territories together, we now know what is the current format of professional wrestling. And it's just unfortunate that try to keep one of the little guys down. Not a little guy, a mid guy, but still trying to keep him down.
I guess we shouldn't be surprised because, as you said, we're talking about Vince McMahon, and whatever you want to say about Vince McMahon aside, the fact is he took the territory system out. There's a great book called The Death of the Territories you should read if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
It is a good book.
It's a great book. But so am I surprised that this happened in the wrestling business? Like, is it a violation of antitrust laws? Absolutely. If the allegations are proven to be true, it absolutely is. Mm-hmm. But like, am I surprised that the owner of a company said to another company, if you work with this company, I'm not going to work with you? Like, that's how business has gone down for a long time. Now, it's wrong. It doesn't make it right, but that's just kind of the way it is. But what I found interesting is the senior executive that was quoted in the lawsuit from MLW is Susan Davison. She was the WWE exec that reportedly said, I cannot control Vince McMahon.
And she was one of the releases of 2020, by the way.
She was one of the releases. So if she's subpoenaed to appear under oath to testify as to what happened and what was said, it looks to be a pretty clear-cut case. Now, WWE has denied all the allegations. Their lawyers are going to respond to the initial complaint. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But I mean, I'm hoping that A, this puts WWE on notice that you can't do this anymore. And B, I'm hoping MLW gets a chunk of money off this that they can use to up their game and compete. So let's see what happens.
Absolutely. And while this is going on, they're still trying to do their aggressive expansion. And we are in the second week of Azteca. I don't know how to build it up any more than that. That's just the way I can build it up. But we're in the second week. So now, without further ado, the rewind. So starts off with a recap of what happened last week in the holiday situation, getting taken away by police for the club incident the night before. And I use that in quotations because, well, air quotations are fun. And also Hammerstone, the Hammerstone ending when he got carried off by a whole bunch of CDs. What do you want to call them? Bodyguards?
Cronies.
Henchmen? Yeah, let's go with henchmen. They look like a lot of the guys in Fortnite from some of their henchmen. I know that from my kid playing. I play sometimes too, but I'm not very good at that game. It starts off with CD kind of responding. We received a lot of angry tweets. He doesn't care about them. It's a new year with unique opportunities, and you have to respect his power. And what did he say? He said something in Spanish that you translated for me.
Oh,
you either get the bullet
plata plomo. I think it's how. Please forgive me because my Spanish is horrendous. But it's basically the silver or the lead. So it's the money or the bullet.
Money or the bullet. So and Hammerstone is now reflecting on that exact statement. Either get the money or you get the bullet. I'm not saying that he killed Hammerstone, but
bullet
it's a
se,
metaphor, but the metaphorical bullet,
correct.
if you will, the metaphorical bullet. And so we get a rundown of tonight's matches. We got Kane versus Aerostar. We got Pagano versus Savio Vega in a hardcore match in the main event. And then our first match of the evening is the MLW champions, 5150 versus Excalibur and Black Destiny. Now, these were two of the guys whose names we could not remember from last week because there was so much action in that first match that we talked so highly about. And they got a shot at the MLW tag titles. Now, right before that match, we got a 5150 promo. These guys are always great for sound bites. One of my favorite ones was, Danny Limelight's tired of the entitled. He is tired of the marks on the internet caring about a name. Basically talking about how the marks on the internet only care about the Von Erichs because of the name and the lineage that comes with it. And Slice Boogie pretty much said this is the concrete jungle. You step into our house, you're going to get hurt. He used another colorful word, but hurt is the way I want to describe it. So now this was a great match. I mean, this was 5150's, speed, their charisma, but going up against double the speed. I mean, I wanted to see how 5150 would really hang with Luchas. Now, yes, I understand they did face the Parks, Los Parks, and all that. But
we're talking about the Mexican Luchas.
We're talking about the Luchas from here. And the Luchas from here, they fight different. They hit different. And Excalibur and Black Destiny, they took it to 5150. There was a couple close calls. Danny got a little cocky, started doing a shimmy shake in the ring, and he got a drop kick right to the face for his troubles. Slice Boogie also got handed a few things, but Slice Boogie, I mean, Danny's the speed and the agility of the group. Slice Boogie's the raw power and the strength, and he used that to a lot of brute force. There was a lot of times when Slice was hitting people, you could feel it from your couch.
Danny's the thirst trap of the group. Let's be honest here.
That's not a George quote. That's a Rob quote. I'm going to leave Rob hanging alone on that because Danny Limelight and me, we mi gente. With people.
Hey, I commented Danny's gear, like his aesthetic is just brilliant.
Absolutely. And the way they carry themselves, the swagger that they have was great. And this was, I'm not going to say an easy win because like I said, there were a couple close calls.
No, it was an excellent match.
It was
back and forth. 5150 controlled the tempo of the match. A lot of spots, a lot of hard hits.
Went for a good 15 minutes too, which is great to see because the more they put that time in the ring, the more we know that Von Erichs match is probably going to run to 20 to 25 minutes.
What it was for an opening match, defending the tag titles, about 15 minutes. That was a really fucking good match. If you didn't watch this week for some reason,
go back and watch.
Go back and watch. It's worth watching. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Like you said, two styles that are not the same, but not entirely different either. So they worked well together, and I very much enjoyed it. And after last week, which was not really up to MLW's usual
what we're
standards,
used to seeing
from
them.
This was a great opening match to rebound from that.
And the production was great. The production looked a lot
crisper.
sleeker. The venue was nice. It was an outdoor venue in Tijuana, which was great to see. It was obviously covered. The ring was covered by like a canopy or a rooftop, if you will. But, a small venue, only about 25 to 30 people in the crowd, if that. And again, the numbers could be wrong, but it was a great venue, intimate crowd. The production looked great. And 5150 retained, not easily, mind you. Like I said, there were a couple close calls, but 5150 retained. And right after that, Conan gets on the mic. And he's talking about two guys in the back, talking all that. Yay. Aerostar and, forgive me on the other guy.
Drago.
Aerostar and Drago are talking a lot of that. Yay. And what happens? Well, apparently in Mexico, when you call somebody out from the back, they don't wait for
you really call them out from the back.
Call them out from the back. So Aerostar and Drago come running out. It's an all-out brawl, 5150 versus Aerostar and Drago, and it carries out through the back. So that's where we are right now. But it was a great match for 5150, and it was great to see what 5150 could do. And this is, I think, going to be a great prelude to when we get to that Von Erichs match, because if there's one team that matches up to 5150 so well on paper, it is the Von Erichs. Marshall has the strength, like Slice, and the power. Ross has the agility and the speed, like Danny. So I think when 5150 and the Von Erichs do tangle in Dallas, it's going to be something special. I will say, I'll put my stamp on it now, that it may be a match of the year, MLW match of the year candidate, because I feel these two teams evenly match up. And I think we're going to see something special. What are your thoughts on that upcoming match?
I'm not sure what's going to play out, but I'm fascinated and intrigued to see. I think it's going to be a good match.
Well, they match it, like I said, they match it so well on paper. Like they literally are a mirror image of one another. Power and power, speed and speed.
So I don't know who's gonna win. I couldn't even speculate.
Well, 5150 does have a couple aces in the hole, and Conan and Julius Smokes, when they're
They
out there
do.
ringside, they are a difference maker in those matches. It's
Absolutely.
4-on-2 when you face 5150.
True, but the Von Erichs are gonna have the support of that hometown crowd.
Absolutely, that Dallas crowd will be the third member of the Von Erichs team that night, 150%. No disagreement there. Now we cut to a promo of Alicia. She's in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
And
with Savio.
She's sitting down with Savio. He's talking about how beautiful the beaches are, but he's also talking about. Yeah.
Sorry. So we're watching this. I have to jump in with this because I hear Savio say the bitches are beautiful.
But he clearly said beaches.
He said beaches, and it took me like a couple seconds to process, like, oh no, he said beaches. But I initially heard the bitches are beautiful. I'm just seeing Alicia like smiling and nodding along, and I'm like, like that was so misogynistic. I can't believe Alicia's just tolerating that. And then it's like, he said beaches, you absolute unit. Like, so yeah, I just thought that was hilarious, and I had to share
now
that he thought the bitches were beautiful.
Alicia always great for the probing questions, if you will, asking why Savio stepped up to, I guess, defend or get revenge for Hammer, justice for Hammer, if you will, against Pagano from what happened last week. And he said he stepped up because it was unfair what happened to Hammer, but also he was approached with a deal from CD. CD told him that if he beat Pagano tonight in this hardcore match, he would get IWA back.
Or at least a portion of the control.
Not, I don't think controlling interest necessarily, but let's say 49%. And CD would still have 51%. But still, Savio would gain back some of the company that he lost only a few months ago in the whole, when Azteca Underground was literally buying everything, getting their hand all in that proverbial MLW pot. And then we also get an update on Casey Navarro, still obviously undergoing recovery from his concussion. And Emilio Sparks there, he caught up with Enzo in a parking lot, asking Enzo why he did what he did. What was the reason? He knows Casey Navarro. They have a history. And Enzo said, I like the kid, a good kid. The fact is, you don't turn your back on someone. It's a sign of disrespect. And he hopped in the car and he drove away. And we find out a little bit later on in the episode that for his troubles for not apologizing to Casey Navarro, he's been suspended. So Enzo, right after debuting, has now been suspended. So he's on the shelf and he's not doing anything. Rob's obviously not overly concerned about that. The less Enzo Rob sees, the better, I believe.
No. I mean, his match was all right. When he came back, it was good. I had no complaints with it. I'm admittedly like not the biggest Enzo fan, but that's okay.
But it wasn't the typical Enzo promo. I actually liked
how it was
very short, sweet, and simple. It wasn't outdrawn. There wasn't a whole ton of sound bites. It was just, he turned his back on me. That's disrespect. You don't ever turn your back on me.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I agree with his statement, but I'm just saying I like that MLW pulls different sides of these characters out.
Sure.
There is freedom in the way they do things, but I love how we see, whenever you see an MLW promo cut by somebody you've seen in other promotions, the MLW product seems to be just a little bit more real.
It's more edgy.
We're used to edgy. It is definitely a lot more edgy, and that's one of the great things that MLW does. Now, we also got a screenshot of a Court Bauer tweet from last week asking CD, where's Hammer? MLW, top tier, the brass, they need answers.
We kind of need to know where our champion is.
And
a little bit.
And important. CD's response, nothing.
Niente.
Not a surprise. CD obviously does not care what Court Bauer or the brass have to say. Now we get another promo or vignette. Holiday, he's walking around. Obviously, he's been released from prison from the club incident. They're questioning, obviously, they didn't find anything. He's looking for Hammer. And he turns down a hallway, and sure enough, there he sees CD's henchman guarding the doors, obviously, to CD's penthouse suite. So he starts going, and there's 3 guards in front of the doors. And Holiday, I got to say, a concerned Holiday is a dangerous Holiday. He literally took the smallest one, mind you, the smallest one, and he threw him to the side.
I don't think Holiday had any coffee that day.
No, he looked revved up and ready to go, and not like the typical revved up from having all the coffee that he had. He did not look dynastic. He looked pissed.
He looked caffeine deprived and ready to scrap.
But there was only one person who could talk him off that ledge, and that's Alicia too. That's right. She came to the rescue. She pulled Hammer away and said, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And Holiday, fighting with the henchman, said, no. Okay, this is for Hammer. Alicia said, it's not worth it. She pulls him away, and they walk down the other end of the hallway. So, we're still in the search for Hammer. We don't know what's happened with Hammer, but that's where we are. And then we get another EJ and Duca vignette, another, I guess you will, caption of his story, talking about his bodybuilding days after he finished in the NFL, and how quickly within a year and a half he went pro, which is unheard of. Usually in bodybuilding, it takes 10 plus years to get to that level. But Duca did it in 18 months. And that's a testament to who this guy is. And I love these vignettes because they're just building up this guy's story to ultimate peak. And there was a lot of gym shots and stuff, obviously taken well before the incident at a completely different gym where there wasn't blatant racist working the front counter. So that's nice to see. So he definitely got some gym shots in, showing what he does, showing his history. And I'm loving these little vignettes they're doing. They're quick 2-3 minutes, but they really pack a lot into that 2 minutes, and they give you so much of this man's backstory, which is not a lot we got to see in his days at WWE, in developmental, in his few appearances on NXT. We never really got to see the meat and potatoes of who he is. So I love the fact that they're spotlighting this guy so much, which means he's due for something very big very soon.
Kind of reminds me of back in the day, like the early 90s, before a WWE, like when WWE was bringing somebody in, they'd run like vignettes for like a month before they came in, kind of showing you like different angles of who this person was and their character, whatever. So I like these little 2-3 minute get to know you. It's building up on the character. It's not just like a here's some information. It builds up on who EJ Nduka is as a person. Or it's not a
still like thumbnail shot of this person here next week.
So it's building something that's relevant to the product, because now you're building up EJ Nduka as a person, as a character, as a wrestler. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well put together. Like George said, the production this week definitely got up. Couple little hiccups. We'll get to that.
Are you talking about the over audio at the beginning with CD
no
promo?
No, that was some clipping. CD screamed into the mic. It clipped. That's what happens.
It happened to us a few times. We've had to. That's why we're sitting back a little bit more, because I bellow. My voice bellows. I know this.
Compression, guys. Compression.
There you go. Exactly. There you go. And we get another 5150 promo. Chilling in the hallway after their victory. Danny's changed. Slice is not. Danny's in a completely different outfit. Slice is in the same outfit. And then one of CD's henchmen walks up and passes Danny a note. And Danny opens the note and it says, we have to defend the tag titles against Aerostar and Drago next week. And then Danny looks at the note and says, what the hell? Are we in high school? Huh? CD, some chick that got a crush on us, passing us a note?
Pass a note?
This is a joke. And it was hilarious. It's a typical 5150.
Like, do these henchmen not have the ability to speak? The guy could have just said, like, hey.
Well, we've never heard we never heard the henchman speak, but what he could have done, what would have been better, what I think would have been cooler, is if the henchman walked up with a cell phone connected to FaceTime. And CD was just like, you have to defend it.
Even better, what if he walked up with a fax machine and the fax printed out and they just took it right from him?
Fax machine? Who the hell uses a fax machine anymore? Everything's digital now.
Bro, I use a fax machine.
Yeah, even when you fax, it's still digital.
You think MLW filed that lawsuit via email?
Okay, fine, fair enough.
I work with legal offices. I have to use fax.
All right, moving on past the fax machine and what could have been. The fact that a note was passed, a little bit childish. CD, come on. You can communicate a little bit better. You're supposed to be this. You have everything under control. You
passing little.
And also the paper looked old.
Yeah, it was like a little old ass. Looked like feeling that paper was sitting in the sun for 8 years.
No, it looked like something that you would like. You know when you go to write down a phone number quickly and you have like newspaper or something. It looked like a scribble pad.
A scrap ass piece of paper.
It wasn't even like a full sheet.
I'm surprised they didn't even make a crack about that, like this raggedy ass piece of paper or something.
5150 would have. But I did see Slice eyeing the henchman's shoes as he walked away, but they weren't sneakers, so he let them go. They were loafers. And
Run me them.
I don't really see 5150 as a loafer people, for sure. Next match, we get Kane versus Aerostar for the open weight title. And Kane looked good. Kane looked solid. The crowd was behind him. The crowd was feeling him. And this was another great match. Aerostar was actually in control a lot of times in this match. And I thought Kane was possibly going to have a chance at maybe not pulling this one out. But he did, thanks to the interference of 5150 from the fight we told you about earlier. 5150 came to get a little payback on Aerostar, and a 2-on-1 assault handed Kane the ability to lock in that sleeper hold chokehold thing that he does. Pretty much ragdolled Aerostar to unconsciousness and easily.
It's kind of like a triangle choke, like it's like an arm trap. It traps your arm and just kind of chokes you out.
Yeah, and Aerostar flopped like a ragdoll.
Similar to the, not quite, but similar to the old $1 Million Dream.
Picture China and Terry Reynolds that day where China threw around like a ragdoll. That's what happened to Aerostar in this match.
And now, I always kind of wonder in a match like this, okay? Now, I'm assuming Aerostar probably doesn't speak English because it doesn't seem like a lot of those guys do.
Or they speak minimal English.
Or minimal English. So I always kind of wonder who's calling the match or if it's fully worked out ahead of time.
It might be
Because
fully worked out, or they might have a translator back there with the booker to kind of say this is a spot.
and that's why if I wonder if Aerostar was in control maybe a little more because he was calling the match and kind of leading Alex in terms of what they're doing. Because I also
well,
assume
he was
he's the more
probably also in
experienced one.
control based off the finish. The way they finished the match made more sense for Aerostar to be beating the crap out of Kane, to have 5150 come in
Right.
and not really help Kane. It's not like Kane asked him for help. It was just a perfect payback at the perfect time. You get a 2-on-1. Drago's not there. Aerostar's easy pickings. Kane had already landed a couple good spots on him, but I mean, so he wasn't 100% at that point, Aerostar.
And I mean, it was guys who generally seem to work two different styles. Like Kane's more of a power wrestler, like suplex based guy, and Aerostar is a lucha, like a technical. So they worked well together. It was an enjoyable match, and this episode just keeps rolling with the good stuff.
Absolutely. This is about 40 minutes in now, so we're just around the corner from that main event. But also, we get another Emilio Sparks promo. He's going to stop CD in the hallway, who's pacing frantically in front of his doorway. This time, no henchmen around. It's weird. CD's in the room, there's henchmen. CD's in the hallway where he's easy pickings, there's no henchmen. Just saying. Made no sense to me. But regardless, Emilio walks over, interrupts a very frustrated CD by the look of CD's great facial expressions. I love this guy. And then at that point, Emilio, says, "Where's Hammer? What's on your mind?" CD's about to answer. Then his henchman shows up. CD turns around, starts literally giving his henchman shit. "Where were you? Look at that collar. Take this note." Another note on that old raggedy ass piece of paper. Says, "Take this note."
Fingerprints on it.
Yeah, it's easily traceable, CD. You're better than that. We see in the expose about how you slipped in and out of so many different. Interpol couldn't catch you. Yet this raggedy ass piece of paper could lead you to everything. And this is the part where I will let Rob go on his 1 or 2 minute rant.
I'm not going to go on a rant. It was just, it's a production hiccup. Sparks had his phone out when he was talking to CD.
He's scrolling through the script.
But it literally had this, clearly the script, that he had taken a shot of with his phone, and saved the photos,
And he only had 4 lines in this whole sequence, which is funny.
So it's not I guess he just needed to have something open on his phone, but open voice note or something, make it look like you're recording.
A couple times he has had voice note open.
Yeah, it was good. A little hiccup. I don't mean to harp on it. It was a little thing, but at this level, those little things,
they could hurt you in the long run.
Yeah.
And at that point, when after CD pretty much bitch smacks his henchman, and his henchman walks away with his raggedy ass piece of paper, and Duca's back. He shows up. He says, "CD, where is Hammer? Everyone's looking for Hammer. Where is Hammer?" CD says, "Why don't you come into my hotel room and we'll discuss it?" And he says, "No, listen, I want to know where Hammer is." He says, "Please, join." He opens the door to the dingy red lighted,
Why is it lit room. With, first of all, EJ, I know you're a smart man and you're a Christian man. Why are you going into rooms lit with red lights with the devil? I don't understand. What came over you? Concern for Hammer? Just
clouded his mind. He's
clouded his judgment. Okay.
I can see it. He wants to know what's happening. So, without really a second thought, not much thought, and Duca walks right through the doorway. CD grins from ear to ear, closes the door right on Emilio and his scripted phone. And Emilio slides the phone down and says, "We're going to follow that henchman."
I'm sorry.
He goes after that henchman. And then we get another sick promo. The productions were flawless this week. Max Kruger, he's back, chained up in, I don't know, I want to say Katrina's basement, or the basement of the venue, or the basement of the hotel. Anyways, he's chained up with the henchman and down there with Katrina. And Katrina says, I guess this must have been her undertaking from last week. This must have been the undertaking she was talking about, that she had to go. That's why she could not be there last week. So obviously the undertaking was to find Max Kruger and bring him back. And Kruger says he'll do anything to claim his trophy. "Give me Judas. I want Fatu.
I want the betrayer."
So Katrina lays out a challenge, says, if you beat Bestia 666 next week, you get your shot at Fatu. So next week in a Tijuana street fight, we're going to have Max Kruger versus Bestia 666 in his MLW debut in a Tijuana street fight, which I'm assuming is like a Chicago street fight, a Philadelphia street fight. It's just the name of the city, street fight.
A Tijuana street fight is, oh man, I'm trying to think of something that's funny but not going to get me canceled. I got nothing right now.
The Tijuana street fight is the name of the city, and it's a street fight.
You drink a bottle of tequila before you fight. I think that's reasonable.
Next week, Tijuana street fight. I'm not even gonna feed into that. I don't know what that was. This is not good at all. Whatever. Close your eyes at me.
They can't all be gold, okay?
No, yeah. You know what? Scripts on your phone. Okay, scripts on your phone. I sent you the script easily on your phone with the points that we were supposed to hit today.
And moving right along.
So moving right along, Emilio, he's back. He's outside behind a van, not really hiding or speaking softly. The henchmen are literally 15 feet away, and he says, "There are the henchmen, right there." And he's pointing clearly at the three henchmen. They're in some kind of a discussion. Two move aside. One goes down into a stairwell. So the one that goes down into the stairwell, Emilio follows him. And we're almost positive that we are very close to figuring out where Hammer is. But in the meantime, it is another promo. Gnarls, he's doing curls on the back of a tractor hitch, whatever you want to call it. He's doing curls, and he's talking about how you line them up. That means line up the roster for breakfast, lunch, dinner. I'm going to eat them. And then he says, hope they have dessert too. And the whole time he's doing that, he's being Gnarls. And I'm intrigued by this character. At first, I wasn't overly sold, but the more I see, the more I'm intrigued. I want to see where they're going with this Gnarls character. They put a lot of effort into him, much like they are in Duca, much like everybody else. So I'm excited to see where they go with Gnarls. And, hopefully we get to see a little bit more of him in the ring than we did previous times. Now it's main event time. Savio Vega versus Pango?
No, Pagano.
Pagano, thank you. Versus Pagano in that hardcore match.
Panago is pizza.
Panago Pizza. That's right. Sponsored. MLW. Rewind, please. So Pagano versus Savio Vega in that street fight. Savio walks out with his trademark kendo stick. Pagano walks out with two chairs, throws him in the ring, and we're off to the races. This match was entertaining. They fought around the ring. They utilized some of the hard steel. Thumbtacks came into play, which seems to be a Pagano staple for sure in the matches that we've seen anyways in MLW. And, Savio Vega did not succeed. He was bloodied. He was beaten. Pagano with the win. So Savio Vega does not get back any chunk of IWA. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And at the end of this match, right before the cameras are going to go off air, we find out from our Fearless commentary team that Emilio is streaming live. And he's found a hallway. And the hallway's got some pretty interesting names taped up on the door. One door says Selena, Ms. De La Renta. One door says Killshot. And in the very back of the hallway is that henchman who is now unmasked. And it's none other than Richard Holiday, which is why the color looked like crap. Holiday literally beat the crap out of one of the henchmen, stole the disguise to get Hammerstone's location. He breaks Hammer out of the thing, not before Hammer pushes his arm through the metal. There's a little doorway there, I guess a food doorway, if you will, to choke the henchman before he realizes that it's Richard. Richard opens the door, and the first thing that Hammer says, "Where's CD?" And they walk out of the hallway towards the back, and Emilio's just standing there. Thank God no phone in hand. There's no script was needed for this part. It was very simple to act this scene out.
Don't bury the guy.
I'm not burying the guy. Listen, I can take shots. People take shots of me all the time. I make a comment on Instagram. I get called a fat bald guy. I can do whatever. Listen,
you're not bald.
The hair is thinning for sure. It is thinning for sure. But you know what? People who don't know me, they throw comments at me all the time. I could get offended, but you know what? It's 2022. At the end of the day, I'm almost 40 years old. You don't like me? Scroll the fuck on. You don't like me? Don't fucking subscribe. This is who I am. I'm straight up to the point. You don't like us, what we do. You don't like straight talk and what we do. Move the fuck on. Plain and simple. It's 2022. Welcome to the Thunderdome, motherfuckers. Plain and simple. So Emilio Sparks, get some acting lessons. Stop having your script on your phone. I prefer Alicia Altude over you anyways, and I've stated that, and there's no bones about it. I'm not much a fan of the man bun reporter. Plain and simple. That's my thought process.
I have a man bun right now.
I know you do, and I'm not a fan of it either. So anyways, regardless of that, that was this week's Rewind. And I got to say, the production was great. Promos were great. The matches were great. This is the typical MLW episode that I'm used to seeing.
Question. Will you finally admit that Richard Holiday is a face? He is a baby face. He just saved Hammer's ass. That is baby face behavior.
It's left to be desired. Right now, Hammer's free. He's looking for CD. Justice will happen. Also, side note, I'm just going to say this. If you watch a particular part of the main event, you may find Hammer like I did. That's all I'm going to say. Next time, don't come out from behind the ramp.
It was like a Where's Hammer, Where's Waldo kind of thing.
And I found him. So, I mean, he must have been walking down to film the sequence.
He just kind of popped his head out, see what's going on.
Maybe he was with Emilio checking the script. I'm not sure.
Oh, my God.
I'm all over it today. I'm all over it. The fat bald guy saying bad shit. Oh my God, let's get sensitive.
It went from me making a comment about it to you going off about it.
I'm not going off about it. It's 2022. This is who I am. You don't like it? Scroll the fuck on. I've already said it.
Jesus.
Anyways, this was this week's episode. It was phenomenal. I enjoyed it. I was thoroughly entertained. This is what we're used to seeing, and this is what I would have expected from the premiere episode in Mexico. But this makes up for it in spades. The storylines are coming together very nicely, and I'm intrigued to see where they go because Court Bauer and the powers that be and the great writing team at MLW always pull some great surprises out for us, and they never leave us disappointed. So now we got that slow build, and I love it. This was a great episode. We don't grade anymore, but it was great. Take our word for it. If you haven't watched it, pause this, go watch it, and then come back.
Hats off to everybody at MLW. This was a thoroughly enjoyable episode. As you said, George, vast improvement from last week. And you know, it's to be expected. Any episodic show takes a few episodes to pick up stride. So you know what?
You don't get the stride in episode 2.
Yeah, so they looked at last week and they improved. So that's 1 week. That's not they waited 6 months until people stopped coming to the shows and they're like, oh, maybe we need to do better. Like they did better right away. So that goes to show that the ownership and the management at MLW has their ear to the ground, understands what's going on. They're able to look at their product objectively and see where they need to make improvements. And they're doing so. So real excited to see what 2022 brings for MLW. Hopefully it's an out-of-court settlement with a lot of money.
Well, we also know we got a lot of great things coming. Like next week's card is already looking fantastic. 5150 versus Aerostar and Drago. And we got the Tijuana street fight with Kruger versus Bestia 666. And we also know at the end of January, we're going to have the Dallas tapings, Blood and Thunder. We already know they announced earlier this week, Myron Reed's going at Tajiri for the MLW Middleweight Championship. Hopefully, Myron Reed, 3-time champ. That's my call. I'm calling my shot right now. The young goat's going to get that strap back because Myron Reed is great with or without gold, but with gold, he's so much better. So much better. And the Von Erichs versus 5150 in that epic tag match that we know is going to be good because, like I said, both these teams match up so well on paper. And now we'll get into this week's power rankings before we say our socials and our goodbyes and get the fuck out of here. And you know, I started off last week. You start off this week. So number 10.
Number 10. Let's give it to Pagano. I'm gonna give it to Pagano. He had a pretty good match with Savio. Thought he was a little sluggish, but I think he was also trying to keep pace with Savio and not make Savio look slow by being fast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So he also took like a face down bump on thumbtacks off the top rope. And he did like a beautiful, almost like a greetings from Asbury Park, moonsault onto a chair for the finish. So number 10's Pagano.
Yeah, I'm gonna give number 9 to Excalibur. It was one half of the tag team that faced 5150. He impressed the hell out of me, and I want to see more. I want to see more of him singles and tag. I'm intrigued by this guy. Not taking anything away from Black Destiny, he was fantastic, but I don't know. Excalibur showed me a little bit more, and I'm intrigued by this young gentleman who's very young. Apparently, he's only like 22. One of the announcers said, so he's got a great upside, and I'm intrigued. So number 9 goes to Excalibur.
Number 8 is the dude that, or dudette, or human that makes Danny Limelight shoes. Those things are primo, mi gente.
I like it. I like it. Number 7 goes to the first ref because he was great. The second ref was the ref from the first week. I don't like that guy. So number 7 goes to the first ref of this week's episode.
Did we mention that guy last week? Like he just kind of looked like
he looked tired. I think he fell asleep with his eyes open during that main event. He did.
Anyways, what we at 7 now?
So that was 7. 7 is the first ref of this week's show. Great job, my friend.
All right, number 6. Let's give it to you gave it to Aerostar?
No, 7 I gave to the ref.
To the ref, sorry. The previous one you gave to Aerostar. Let's give this one to
previous one you gave to Danny Limelight shoes. The person who makes Danny Limelight shoes.
Oh, sorry guys. Cannabis is legal in Canada. This is what happens.
Oh, number 6.
Number 6. I'm gonna go with Savio Vega. Because you know what, at his age to come out, he took bumps. He didn't just, it wasn't just like I'm doing a hot tag spot or something. Like he took bumps. He fucking worked for a good 15 minutes with Pagano. Give it to Savio Vega. Nice to see the man still working, even though he was unsuccessful.
Number 5 to another OG in the game, Conan. Speaking all that, yay. Love that guy. Whenever he's on the mic, it's exciting to me and I enjoy it. So number 5 goes to Conan.
Number 4, 5150. They kicked ass. They had a banger of a match. Promos were off the chain. They are right now one of the hottest tag teams in pro wrestling, whether you agree with me or not. That is the facts. They're coming with the promos, they're coming with the matches, they're walking the walk, they're talking the talk. So 51-50.
Number 3 goes to another power couple in MLW. That's right. Emilio Sparks and his phone. No, fuck that. Scratch that. Emilio Sparks is nowhere near the top 10. But it does go to a power couple. It goes to a power couple, which is Alicia Autut and Richard Holiday. They were all over this show this week, and I loved it. I loved her interviews. I love her saving Holiday's butt, and I loved Holiday beating the crap out of the henchman and take it. But dude, if you're gonna disguise yourself as a henchman, fix the collar. Just straighten the collar just a little bit, because you almost gave it away. Terrible. You almost gave it away, but you held it together, which is great. So Richard Holiday, Alicia Autut, number 3.
All right, number 2, we're giving it to the only man in MLW who could smoke a cigar in the rain and it won't get wet. Of course, I'm talking about Cesar Duran. He was all over the promos this week with his sneaky little grin, and he's really got those like subtle, Sparks puts his hand on his shoulder, that kind of looking at the hand to like get away from me. So I really like his presence on this episode. He's number 2.
Number 1 goes to the man who wrote the script that we all got to see for 30 seconds. That's right.
So writers at MLW, whoever you are, congratulations. You've hit the top spot.
You have. This week, the writers knocked it out of the park. The promos were fire, which, I mean, I get the wrestlers have a lot of freedom with the promos, but the promos were fire. And you know what? Everything was on point. And this is the MLW that we knew we were going to get in Mexico. It took 2 weeks, but we're here now, and it's enjoyable as fuck.
And we're getting exactly what we were promised, which was MLW's top superstars against some of the best talent Mexico has to offer, which they're following through on their word. So it's nice to see that.
And like I said, keep an eye on the Excalibur kid. He's got a great upside to him. I'm going to follow him more. Pagano's a legend. I'm excited to see Bestia 666 next week. Black Destiny was great. Everybody that we've seen so far, and including the guys that got signed late this year, Aramis and Ares, they're great as well. So this talent that is being brought over for us to see, people in Mexico, wrestling fans in Mexico, they get spoiled with these guys all the time. So while we're here, please, even if you're not an MLW fan, check out this young talent. Check out these talents, because these guys are phenomenal. I'm not just talking about Pagano for the hardcore stuff. He can wrestle. He just chooses to wrestle with weapons. Doesn't make him less of a wrestler, just makes him a little bit more different in his storytelling abilities, but it's still fantastic to watch. Pagano, his ground game, we witnessed a bit of it last week. We also witnessed a bit of it this week. There were spots where weapons weren't being used, and him and Savio went to the ground, and they had some great chain wrestling maneuvers this week. It wasn't awe-inspiring or flawless. It's not TJP versus Davey Richards, but it was still great wrestling to see. So soak these guys in while you get a chance, because a lot of these talents we're not going to see on North American TV or North American product for a very long time. And Court Bauer, we do know you check out the show, know you watch the show. Excalibur, that kid's special. So if you haven't put pen to paper and he has the ability to come over like you did for Ares and Aramis, do yourself a favor and sign that dude, because I think he's got a great upside.
Last point, it is as much as it was shitty to hear about, it was nice to get an answer as to why MLW never popped up on Vice as was initially announced. We now know it's a lawsuit, so keep your eyes on that, and we'll see what happens. But we wish Court and the MLW team all the best in getting that resolved and favorably for them.
When I saw the article last night, and again, there were a lot of podcasts that broke the news, but I'm not a breaking news podcast. I'm just about sharing the news. When it's time for us to share the news to anybody that watches our show faithfully, thank you for allowing us to. If we did break the news for you today, great. Go back, check out Straight Talk's Twitter, because I did post the article and I tagged Court Bauer in my tweet, and I said, good on you, because stuff like this needs to be brought to the forefront, to the attention, so that everyone can get a slice of that pie. At the end of the day, wrestling fans are wrestling fans. And we're passionate about what we love. And what we love is the sport and entertainment value wrestling brings. And it's great for everybody. There's a little bit of different taste. You like hardcore, there's that. You like, chain wrestling, there's that. There's options for everyone. And wrestling is the one sport where it literally gives you all those options under a great umbrella, and everyone can share. And the fact that Impact Wrestling has been one of the few companies during this whole forbidden door as well, I have to shout this out, they've worked with everybody. And now we got GOD coming to
Switchblade coming.
Well, Switchblade has already appeared a few times.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Now we got Switchblade coming back. We got Tom and Tonga coming back. That's been brewing for a while. Tom and the Good Brothers, that's been brooding for a while. The fact that Impact has worked with ROH, the fact that Impact has worked with New Japan, the fact that Impact has worked with, AEW, now WWE with Mickey James going over to the Rumble. There may also be a couple of additions from the men's side. Moose tweeting about the possible dream match with the head of the table, Roman Reigns. I mean, things are endless. And finally, thank God to see that Tony Khan has kind of calmed down a little bit on the ego. And there is talks to allow some of the talent to be utilized. But also, I have been hearing and reading on websites that Le Champion might make an appearance at the Rumble. And that would be great to see. Britt Baker is also in discussion to be a possible entrant at the Women's Rumble. And at the end of the day, whatever happened, happened. But 2022 seems to be a year to change. And I'm very excited about what I've seen this last week in wrestling. From the good, like we've seen the sharing of talent, to the bad, the unfortunate lawsuit that was issued, but rightfully so, by MLW. And listen, at the end of the day, it's all about wrestling. And like I said, for me, it's not about cancel culture. It's not about this or that. Like I said, I'm straight up, I'm honest. I say what I have to say. Some people don't like it. Some people have taken shots at my personal appearance because that's all they have to do is take shots at my personal appearance. And that's fucking fine. I got a beautiful wife and 2 daughters that love me. And I got this guy. So fuck the rest. I don't need anybody else.
You know what? If you're involved in wrestling, or no matter what you're involved in, bear these 3 words in mind: collaboration over competition.
I said that a couple years ago.
There's a lot of room at the table for everybody. Like where we live in the Toronto area, there's easily a dozen wrestling promotions that we could name, and there's probably more that we either don't know or just can't name.
And there's a lot of great podcasts too. We're in the podcast community. There's a lot of great podcasts. Gillamy Talks doesn't just talk wrestling; he talks everything. He's great. I've been on his show a couple times. Also part of the Ontario Indie Wrestling Podcast Network. We're also part of the League of Extraordinary Podcasters from a lot of great podcasts in the U.S. as well. There's a ton of great podcasts. There's Shooting Up North, Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Lewis Carlin is my former co-host. He's great at what he does. Like I said, Justin Gillamy, or Gillamy Talks, Justin Gillamy. Also, Scumbags of Wrestling, marked out with Mark and Tyler. There's
Dirty Heels.
Like there's Circle of Debate, Titantron. So many great podcasts out there that we don't get jealous of anybody else. There's no ego here with us. We're who we are. I've always stayed humble. I've had a lot of great guests on the show. I've been able to talk a lot of great wrestling. I've never bigged up an ego because I've had guests that 3 weeks later, this different podcasts have those guests. For me, it's about collaboration over competition. I've said that. If you get an ego in this business, your ego will be your own undoing. And I stand by that statement I tweeted out 2 years ago. And, some people took defense to it because I hurt their ego. Oh, your butt hurt? Fuck off. That's just it for me. That's it. Like I said, you're going to see a different vibe from me this week moving forward. And I don't give a fuck. Peace, love, and wrestling. We'll see you next time. I'm not even going to start out the show, so you already know where to find us.
Yeah, you know where to find us.
Peace, love, and wrestling.
Adios.
Later.